Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm talking a little bit about the consciousness calibration of cancel culture. Consciousness calibration is a method of muscle testing for determining the cogency or level of consciousness of a particular statement, person, event, pretty much everything. Everything has uh, an energy field surrounding it. And I'm still kind of new to the technique and trying to master it for myself, but I have found a pretty cool website called consciousnesscalibrations.com, which gives you a large database of things that have been calibrated. And I want to share this is first of all research that was invented, discovered even because it is a scientific method of testing levels of truth to some degree, at least relative truth, by David Hawkins, who was a renowned psychiatrist and researcher. And so I'm going to share my screen right here to give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. So this is the map of consciousness, the chart of the different levels of consciousness and their corresponding emotions and life views, right? So this line right here at 200 courage is the truth line. Anything that falls below this line is not oriented toward truth. Okay. Anything that is above it is. Now, if you're simply operating from a level of courage, courage to do what is right or to do what is true and good, um, it means that you're willing to face challenges. You're willing to put yourself out there and attack opportunities that present themselves for good, fight evil, at least what you perceive as evil, with true intention behind it. Okay, so someone can be courageous in their actions, but still kind of make a mess of things, right? The thing that they're fighting for may only be true within a given context, within a given set of circumstances. But just above that is neutrality. Okay. To be neutral is maybe not to be as emotionally charged as someone who is operating from courage. Like astrologically speaking, we think of like an Aries person as very courageous. They're willing to take on challenges. They're willing to just like dive headfirst into things, right? Neutrality might be something more like the next sign, Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. It represents just stability and things as they are in the tangible realm. So neutral energy produces an emotion of trust, simply trusting that things will unfold as they will, right? And the life view is that you're satisfied with that. A courageous person sees things as feasible, sees challenges as possible to take on and to sort of transcend. And so there's a degree of affirmation in pursuing those things and learning from your mistakes. But as we go up toward enlightenment, up from 200, things get less relatively true and more universally true. That at the highest level to be enlightened, which is extremely rare, by the way, produces an emotion of ineffability. Okay, that it's total acceptance, it's total peace, but even beyond peace with what exists. Represents understanding of reason, okay, but still beyond understanding within the confines of logic, for example. The life view is that things simply are, okay, is or being in and of itself, okay. So cancel culture is, if we can define it, modern form of ostracism in which someone is thrust out of social or professional circles, whether it be online, on social media, or in person. Those who are subject to this ostracism are said to have been canceled. Okay, so cancel culture is the culture surrounding that, and culture is subject to fashion, to trends. Okay, culture can be quite shallow. In fact, culture in certain cases is rich, and in other cases is very shallow. All right, so Western cultural norms and trends that we just kind of create out of nothing through social media, through the evolution of language, through political shifts and things like that. Those kinds of traits, we could say, of culture are quite shallow compared to, say, Italian culture, which has a richer history in the West. You go to Italy, and there are buildings, there's architecture, there's art, there's food. There is a lifestyle that has been present there for a very long time, and the culture has more sustainability to it. And it's something that people want to take part in and learn about and experience. So people, travel to Italy from all over the world to immerse themselves in Italian culture, because it kind of has like the best bits of everything, at least among the Western cultures. So those are, two and opposite ends of the spectrum when we talk about what is culture. And so cancel culture is one of those American kind of Western, social media based, clickbait based, cultural norms that sprouted up out of nowhere, it seems, but actually it has very ancient roots, and it's really not a new thing, right? Because if we look back in history at how governments and military regimes of the past, which were tyrannical, handled things that opposed the culture. If there was a certain program that was being attempted to be instilled in the culture, such as communism, fascism, things like that, one of the first things and most obvious ways that they pushed their program forward was to cancel the truth speakers, cancel people who spoke against that. Okay, we can date back even further than this, but one ancient example would be Socrates in ancient Rome, who was said to have been or charged with corrupting the youth by teaching people in Athens how to reason, how to engage in logical dialogue, and how to think critically, right? If you have individuals who are thinking critically, then it disrupts the system that is being instantiated into the culture, especially if that system is one of corruption, tyranny, falsehood, and evil. Okay, so cancel culture calibrates, according to the experts who are good at this technique and who run this website, calibrates at 140. So let's bring up that map again and see where 140 falls. 140 is in the range of desire, craving, and comes from a place of having disappointment toward life, toward the world, toward reality in general. Okay. And just above that is anger. So to be angry is actually a more cultivated level of consciousness than desire, than the level on which cancel culture operates, right? And we see anger in a lot of activism, right? It's maybe beyond the degree of desire, of mere desire, because it has a belief attached to it. And beliefs are complex things, and you can use your tools of rationality to justify your beliefs and your convictions, even if they're not true or not oriented toward truth, which something that comes from the level of consciousness of anger is not truth oriented, because it's not at that 200 level. It actually lacks courage. It's actually an angry person, when push comes to shove, is actually quite cowardly, right? Also, when they're faced with truth, their muscles will will strengthen, will become tight and constricted and flex. And that's part of what the calibration technique tests is that muscle strength, right? And so when someone who's operating from anger is faced with truth, they become strong. And if your muscles are becoming strong in one of these techniques, when you're calibrating the consciousness level of something, then it's proof enough that that the thing that you're angry about is actually true. Okay, I'm not going to get into the technicalities of the technique itself. It's not what this is about. I'm just kind of pointing out that cancel culture calibrates at a level of 140, and it comes from desire for things to be another way, a way other than what they actually are. So there's a deep lack of acceptance for the truth, say, that is spoken by somebody like Andrew Tate. Okay, somebody like who just got canceled. So somebody like Milo Yiannopoulos, okay, who got canceled a few years ago. Somebody like Donald Trump, okay, who was the president of the United States. But the culture of social media is powerful enough that even a president or former president can't get can actually get canceled from Twitter. So let's actually look up some of the consciousness levels, the calibration levels of those people I just mentioned. Let's do Donald Trump. Calibrates at 370. As a person, his range is from 185 to 370, which means that's about content, not about context. Okay, so his base operating range is around 370 or up to 370, which means he is a truth-oriented person. Okay, he just does have good intentions. 370 is actually quite high. It's in the range of acceptance, forgiveness, harmoniousness. So that's an example of somebody who got canceled by cancel culture, which calibrates well below 200, 140. So when something or someone has a problem that calibrates below 200, which is not oriented toward truth, has a problem with something that is above 200, they are going to ostracize it. They're going to attempt to get rid of it, in whatever way their level of consciousness would suggest that they would, right? So if someone is angry, they're going to project hate toward it. They're going to be very antagonistic toward life in general and toward anyone who represents truth. Okay. Someone who operates from pride is really more about themselves. At least they're placing more focus on themselves than on other people, but they will have scorn as their base emotion from which they interact with others. And they'll have a very demanding view of life. Someone operating from pride, and yes, I'm talking about LGBT pride movement as well, it says it in the name. It's a pride movement. It's about selfishness. It's about the inward accepting of one's own narcissistic tendencies toward it's all about what I want and nothing else really matters. Pride, okay? Being proud of things like sexual orientation that you actually have no say over. You're born with a certain proclivity in that regard, but for some reason, you're entitled to be proud of that, even though you haven't taken responsibility for it and you didn't achieve that through merit. Look, we can be proud of things that we accomplish by our own will, but to be prideful of something that you actually have no control over is just foolish, So somebody operating from that level, including the movement itself of pride, is going to be very demanding of the culture in which it's situated to give them what they want. they're celebrating something that they didn't earn to begin with. So of course, their entitlements are going to have a demanding, sort of attitude driving them. So that's really it. That's all I'm going to say right now about that. Expect more videos in the future on consciousness calibration, because it's an area of research that I've been delving into. It's very interesting, and it does give us a unique perspective on, how is something oriented? Is it oriented toward truth? Even if it slightly makes a mess of things, like if somebody can be courageous but not really know how to handle their conviction, not know how to express their conviction in a tactful way, and so they can kind of make a mess of it. That would be somebody operating from courage. That's what I call the caboose of the truth train. Somebody who's just crossed that 200 threshold and become truth oriented. They've just boarded the truth train. They have to, if it's their first time, they have to board on the caboose, and the caboose is just, it's shaky and it's light on its wheels, and there are no seats in there. It's chaos, and so people are kind of fighting, struggling to get to that second class car. They get caught in the trap, the logical trap of the fallacious trap of mistaking facts for truth. Truth comes in context, which contains the facts, not the individual facts themselves. Facts need context. Okay, so that's why David Hawkins said, "Be the context, not the content." Okay, facts are content, and if we take that as truth, if we judge someone's character by the particular things that they believe rather than the reasons that they believe them, or the context, the logical, metaphysical context in which those beliefs are situated, that they're living by, then, we're not giving them a fair chance. We're not making an accurate character judgment of that person, But consciousness calibration is a pretty good technique for judging that, and actually putting it to the test through one's own intuition. And our muscles, our body, are connected to our mind, and our mind is connected to our soul and our intuition. Our intuition is our innate truth seeking and, sort of truth detecting antenna, we could say. And the muscles give us information, signals about what our intuition is taking in. So that's all I got today. Talk to you guys in the next video. Cheers.